Okay, okay. I cannot be the only one that chuckled when I saw Eren just beating the hell out of Reiner with his stumps. That scene had me fucking dying. I know it was probably supposed to be funny, but when he's like Eren on top of this, he's like beating with his stumps. I'm like, oh my god, like how fucked up is that? Like, that is just one of the most humiliating things that could possibly happen to you. Like, you're sitting there, you're like a warrior soldier, and you have this man that has no hand just going on top of you, just beating you with his stumps. That was just crazy funny. And then, just to make it even funnier from that scene is when Eren was just biting his stump, trying to turn into a Titan. I'm like, bro, this shit has me dying. Like, I was just laughing. I know it was supposed to be a serious moment, but just the way that was done, how this man just jumped Reiner like that, and just started beating him with his stumps, I couldn't contain myself. I had to laugh, because it was just so funny the way it was done. So, let's talk about that situation, what makes that very funny. The fact is that we gotta remember what happened last week, okay, in the previous episode. Remember what Eren said. He's like, I need to remain calm. I need to make sure I stay calm and to, you know, assess the situation. Eventually, towards the end of the episode, he's like, fuck you, Reiner, fuck you, Bert, for what you've done to me, and basically kind of gets really angry. Still, it takes a lot of balls to try to hold back somewhat to the people that kind of ruined your entire life. So I give Eren credit there. But it's funny that the man does something like that at the end of last week's episode. And then in this episode, he's like, I can't do nothing, Reiner. You can trust me. I'm not going to fight back or whatever. And Reiner looks like he lets his guard down. And Eren just jumps this man. He fucking jumps this man. He's like, I want to kill you. And he starts beating him. And all that. I'm like, Reiner, seriously. Like, you have been with this man for so many years now. You know this is the type of dude that is very aggressive. And he has a vendetta against Titans. Obviously, he wants to kill your ass. There's no way he's gonna stay calm when you're basically the person that killed his mother. So, just seeing the way Eren reacted, how Reiner was just so shocked at first, I'm like, oh my god, clearly, Reiner, like, you really aren't right in the head, because you should have known Eren would not have been happy with that at all. So, with the funny stuff out of the way, though, let's talk about the main important part of this episode, which was Ymir. So, I haven't read the latest chapters of Attack on Titan, but don't worry, I'm not going to spoil anything, don't worry. However, I did read the chapter that was in this episode. Now, you're probably wondering, like, wait, of course you did, because this is, you know, from a long time ago. Actually, you are wrong. What happened in this episode was stuff that recently came out a couple of months ago, maybe like 3 or 5 months ago. The stuff that was in this episode came out in the manga. That is a way far off in the distance, like a couple of seasons, anime seasons in the distance if it was to adapt it like chapter by chapter instead of, you know, skipping forward. Basically, what's going on here is that the animators with Studio, they decided to add in some characterization for Ymir instead of adding it in when it was finally introduced in the manga. So, for instance, these characters, like, for instance, you know, Ymir, that we don't really know much about, instead of waiting for the future, like, waiting for maybe multiple seasons down the road when we finally get, you know, characterization, or when it happened in the manga, they decided to add this characterization in early, which actually, in fact, it's a good thing and a bad thing. Number one, what makes it a good thing is the fact that you're able to kind of grow attached to Ymir's character. You're able to kind of understand her backstory, why she does certain things throughout the series, but also when something happens or when she's trying to do something, she has determination to save someone or whatever, we can understand this and we can feel for her and we can, you know, support her or be against her, regardless of your emotions. That's the whole point of this. And so, with them adding this flashback early, like way early compared to how the manga did it, it allows us to kind of enjoy her character more for future scenes of the series and make some scenes that happen in the future make more sense. Now, the bad thing about this is the fact that this episode contained a lot of spoilers. Like, I don't want to even really dive in and talk about some of these scenes because of how spoiler heavy it is. It's super spoiler heavy. And that is why, honestly, like I said, I don't really know how I can tackle these scenes without spoiling, because like I said, this stuff was not revealed until, like, literally a couple of months ago in the manga. And just to give you an FYI, we are about, in terms of content-wise, if we have like 12-episode seasons or whatever, we have another 2 seasons until we probably catch up to the manga. So that just shows, it puts in perspective how early this flashback was done. And so there's just so many things in this that actually potentially spoil some of the crazy revelations of the future stuff in Attack on Titan. And I was just like, bro, like, they would go this far to do something like this? I mean, I guess in some ways that many might not understand what's going on. I think everybody, actually, if you're an anime only, might not understand what's going on here. But still, the point stands is that some of the things that happen in this, it won't feel as big of an impact in the future when some reveals are done, because it's already kind of there in your face. I mean, previously, like, earlier episodes and stuff, there was already slight hints to things to happen in the future of the manga. It was kind of like, holy crap, there was some foreshadowing here. But this was just like so foreshadowy, but spoiler heavy. I wonder how people are going to feel about certain revelations in the future of the manga because of how this was done. So, yeah, I mean, like, damn. I just didn't think I would see Ymir's backstory like that. And I want to try to talk about it and as spoiler-free as possible, because it's just very touchy stuff because of some of the things in it, but also because it's way off in the future where these scenes took place. So, from what we can gather here, is Ymir, she is 60-plus years old. That's what was stated by her. She states like she's around 60-plus years old, which shows, like, holy crap, like, I mean, she looks so young, but she's so old. But on top of that, we get to see what happened to Reiner and Bert's, you know, friend that got eaten by, apparently, this Titan, which we come to find out is, you know, eventually Ymir. When she looked up into the stars and realized she had freedom, she was free. It was a very beautiful moment, just kind of showing what type of person Ymir was and how her childhood was. So I want to talk about that real quick. So Ymir's childhood, that being revealed right now, actually perfectly fits with what was going on in this part of the anime. And I could see why Wit Studios decided to add this in, because it adds more meaning to why Ymir would change sides in the first place, but also why she wanted to, you know, do certain things the way she did throughout this episode. It added more impact, so I can agree with Wit Studio doing this, and in some ways, the way they did this, it actually improved upon the manga. It actually made the anime way better than the manga, and personally, besides the spoiler stuff that I've already kind of said, like how this is like just crazy with the way it was revealed, I do think that this was better than the manga. The way the anime handled it, it made it just leaps and bounds beyond the manga. And regardless of how some things may have less impact in the future, this was a beautiful episode and added so much more to Ymir's character that made just the episode flow so well. So, talking about Ymir's childhood now, getting into the details, she, as we could see, was someone that was kind of abandoned. She was just used as a young child. She was used, and she had to maintain and hold a lie and be this person, and she eventually was a part of a cult, and this cult or whatever was basically worshipping her, and after time, many years passing, we see how, you know, Ymir grows up. Years pass, eventually the cult or whatever, they get into trouble and been arrested, and what we can see going on is that she's on top of a wall. And you see people being pushed off and all that by these soldiers, and then eventually you see this blinding light just pop up, which is pretty obvious because of everything we know from Attack on Titan, that clearly the person got turned into a Titan. Because the light flash, even later on in the episode, you see, you know, the same light happen when we see Ymir transform into a Titan. So it's just clear as day that basically what happened there was people being turned into Titans on top of the wall. And eventually, Ymir was pushed off, and we could assume she was turned into a Titan too, because she started wandering around, she forgot everything. Eventually, she just laid there in the dirt built up over after, like, 60-plus years, and after time, she eventually noticed that someone came around, which was, you know, Reiner and Bert's friend. She ate him, and eventually she woke up. So you could put these little small details together, and basically lets us know that what happened in Ymir's life, how she had to go through so much. So, basically, 60 or so years ago, part of a cult, she got caught and everybody else got caught. She, you know, did this lie. She maintained this lie even to the point to where she eventually got turned into a Titan and others got turned into a Titan. And then basically she wandered around aimlessly for a long time. Then she ate the person and then she's back to normal. That's the main point of the backstory, and that's kind of keeping it very bare bone and minimum without talking about spoilers. So I kind of want to navigate from that now because, like I said, I don't want to focus on that too long. So, besides that, we also have the stuff going on with, you know, the Survey Corps, you know, popping up and catching up to the Armored Titan, the Colossal Titan, and also Ymir. They're catching up, they're right there on their trail, and you just see how they're just, you know, gunning it. They're running right now while they're on horses, while the Survey Corps is just chasing them and catching up, because if you could see next week's preview, you clearly see that they finally will probably catch up because of the action you see for next week's preview. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I love you all so much. Please be safe. Chibi out.